Welcome back, students. Tonight, we'll continue part 2 of our lecture on viruses. Last time, we learned that viruses are non-living things that are made of hereditary material covered in a protein coating. Because they are non-living, we said that viruses cannot replicate all by themselves, but instead, they need to hijack living host cells in order to reproduce. Today, we will discuss the steps of how viral infections happen. Let's get started. In the first step of a viral infection, the virus must attach itself to the surface of a host cell, which you can see in the diagram right here. Our little virus is there and is attaching itself to the host cell. Once the virus has attached to its host cell, the next step is for the virus's hereditary material to enter the host cell. We can see that here in the second part of the diagram. I want you to notice in the diagram that it is only the hereditary material that enters the cell, not the entire virus. So here we see the protein coating of the virus staying on the outside, whereas only the hereditary material, whether it's DNA or RNA, it will depend on the type of virus. But the hereditary material is going to go into the cell. The protein coating will stay on the outside. Next, the host cell will use the virus's hereditary material to make many copies of the viral proteins and the viral hereditary material. The host cell will do this unknowingly. It cannot recognize the difference between its own hereditary material and the virus's hereditary material. And so it just goes along following whatever hereditary instructions that happen to be present in the cell. In this way, the host cell is unfortunately doing the work of making virus parts for the virus. You can see some of those virus parts here. We have some viral proteins, which we know is going to make up the coat of the new viruses. And we also have, here we can see some strands of virus hereditary material being made as well. Again, unknowingly by the cell, because all it's doing is it's following the injected virus's instructions. The next step is that once all this activity has gone on inside the host cell and all of the new viral proteins and the new viral hereditary material is made, those parts will assemble to form new, fully functioning viruses. So you can see here, now all of a sudden, we've got whole new viruses that have been assembled from the viral proteins and the viral hereditary material made in the previous step. Finally, these new viruses will burst out of the host cell. In the process, the host cell will be killed. These new viruses, every one of these, can now go out and find new host cells. And the entire cycle will repeat with each new host cell. And eventually, these viruses will end up killing exponentially more host cells with each round or each new cycle. So, let's make sure that we can answer this question once and for all. Can a virus replicate all by itself? True or false? This is false. A virus must use the help of a host cell to replicate. Okay, so before we end our brief study of viruses, let's discuss 2 ways viruses can act once they infect host cells. First, a virus can be an active virus, which is one that immediately starts to cause the host cell to make new copies of the virus. In contrast, a latent virus is different from an active virus. Once injected, the hereditary material of a latent virus will stay inactive inside the host cell. And it can remain this way, inactive inside the host cell, for many months or even for many years. In other words, with a latent virus, we have a situation in which the viral DNA just waits inside the host cell, and it's waiting for an opportune time to become active. So, what causes a latent virus to become active again? A latent virus will become active in any situation in which the body's immune system is weakened. So some common factors which can weaken the immune system are stress, sickness, and exposure to harmful chemicals in the environment. Oops. Wow, sorry about the poor underlining here. All right, so this is often why cold sores, which you see a very gross and disturbing image of right here, we're all familiar with cold sores. Cold sores are an example of a latent virus. And so with a cold sore, you often see them showing up when you're stressed. The reason for this is the virus that causes the cold sores has probably already entered the cells around your mouth months or even years ago, but they've been latent, just waiting for the immune system's guards to go down. Another example is that of the chickenpox/shingles phenomenon. So if you've had the chickenpox, one of the things that might happen is you might get an outbreak of shingles later on in your lifetime. And this is because the chickenpox virus will actually retreat once your body has fought off the initial bout of chickenpox. Any remaining viruses can retreat back into the cells that are near your spinal cord, and they will stay there latent until your immune system weakens enough for them to activate again. So they won't activate as the original chickenpox, with the original chickenpox symptoms, but they will activate in a form called shingles. And what you'll end up seeing is a band of lesions in a strip along your back where the virus has been waiting in its latent state. We frequently see this in elderly people, and again, people that are really stressed out. And this is because as you age, or when you're stressed, your immune system naturally weakens, giving that latent shingles virus the opportunity to activate again. Okay, so that wraps it up for tonight. We will review this information in class tomorrow, and next time we'll continue our discussion of microorganisms by investigating prokaryotes and protists. See you then.